What's up? We in the building, Philly Uncensored Sports Podcast. I know it's been a while, it's been a minute, but we back. We got 3 of the 4 stars of the building. Ethan should be coming in soon. Hopefully he do. I think he said he on his way home or something. He out there acting like he working. His wife demands too much, but that's neither here nor there. But we are in the building. We got a lot to talk about since we've been gone. You know, we talked about the aftermath of the Sixers and all. Here you go. I think he's trying to pop in now. We talked about the aftermath of the Sixers. Sixers got a new coach, Nick Nurse. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But I do want to start talking about what we just saw yesterday in the finals. We saw a Miami team show resilience that I didn't think was possible. I actually didn't think it was possible. Real quick, shout out to my young boy, too. Pedestrian. He started on clothing line. I had his hoodie on a while ago. Y'all might not have noticed, but he doing this. He's doing big things. So I wanted to represent. You'll be seeing me probably with hats and shirts on. Just give a shout out to him real fast. But yeah, but that Miami game yesterday. This is the first time Denver has lost in the playoffs at home. So and think about who Denver has played thus far. I mean, they played the Lakers. Who else they beat? They beat the Suns, was it? Then they beat the Suns too. Yeah, I mean they went through some teams, and to not lose a game at home, and the first game they lost at home now was to Miami in the finals, to who was a 7th seed. I mean, that was impressive. This might be, if Miami can pull this off. And I know I'm jumping the gun because we want to talk game to game and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But if Miami could pull this off, has maybe y'all could refresh my basketball history. Has a 7th seed ever won the finals before?
I think aren't they the 8th seed?
They're the 8th or the 7th. I think
they was the 8th because they played.
That's even crazy. Has an 8th seed won the finals?
I don't remember. I don't recall that ever happening.
I don't know if an 8th seed has ever even been to the finals.
They have. It was the Knicks in that shortened season, the lockout season. The Knicks made it. I think the Knicks and Spurs. The Knicks was the 8th seed.
Okay. I mean, so if an 8th seed wins, that will be very, very, very impressive. I'm talking about to win 4 series and you have no home court advantage in none of them. That will be impressive. But I have to get a shout out. I mean, y'all go talk about it, what y'all see. Joker trying to do his thing. Butler is not playing all that well, but I just think the heart, soul, and energy that he brings to a team, it can't be measured in stats and numbers. He's special, man. Jimmy, the way he motivate his team through, I guess even through how he approaches the game. I was watching an interview with him, and it was saying, yeah, I peeped that too, and Puman. They said Hero might be coming back. I didn't even realize he was the leading scorer this year on 18. Oh, wow. I think Wayne mentioned that before too. But go ahead, y'all do your thing. I'll talk about this interview I saw with Jimmy. I thought was interesting to give you a little take on his mindset. But go ahead, y'all do your thing. I don't want to take up all the air in the room.
Well, now I want to hear what you said on the interview. Now, I mean, you took up the first 20 minutes of the show.
Well, he said,
right? God dang.
Well, he said was
I'm just a producer.
When he first came out, when he first started playing basketball in high school and college, he never thought he was good enough to make the NBA. And he says, for one, anybody ever tells you that when they saw him, they knew he was destined for the NBA, he said they lying. He said, I didn't even think I was. But he said, when I finally got drafted, I started playing college ball and I realized I was good enough and I got drafted. He said, I never wanted to go back to where I was. So it put a fire in me to always prove that I could be on this level. And it's never waned. And he said, now I got to fire me to win a championship. He said, that's the one thing I've never accomplished that I want. And I got a fire, burning in me to win a championship. So it just kind of gave you a little bit of backstory on just his drive that he has. Kind of like that Giannis drive. He was selling fruit on the highway, on the side of the road. And now he ain't trying to go back. It's kind of like that. And that drive is different than just any other.
But drive. Yeah, I always had a lot of respect for Jimmy just because of the simple fact, like Jimmy didn't come out of the draft. It wasn't like Jimmy was that dude. He really didn't even try to get to that star level or like that until he really wasn't putting in like real work like that in games till like his 3rd or 4th season. And I think he went to school for like his third third season, and he went to school for 4 years.
Yeah.
That's how come. See, that's how come Jimmy. Honestly, Jimmy is one of the reasons why I feel how I feel about a lot of young players. Like even with a Maxey or something like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I know I get on Maxey and say his potential, and I still talk about potential, but because I don't think that he's necessarily there yet. And that's because, and that's why I'm saying, like, when people be ready, like even when we had Markelle Fultz and people ready to trash him then, and even with a lot of players, when it be early on, these guys come out so early, but then you had to do like Jimmy was in college for 4 years and still didn't elevate his game like that until like 3 years in. So, you know what I'm saying? If Bulls willing to put in the work and they get coached up well, you know, sometimes sky's the limit if they got that, but they got to have that dog in them to do it. They got to have that want to get it and want to do it. And Jimmy, one of them type dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like what Jimmy said, he was homeless, worked his way up, you know what I'm saying, was grinding and everything else. So, I mean, he definitely had that dog in him. And, you know, Tim always talking about the struggle. He had the struggle. You know what I'm saying? That struggle, hey, it's going, what he said, if it don't kill you, make you stronger. That made him stronger. But per the series, these two teams show you why you have to have a team around your star. Your stars got to play like stars too. Your stars got to play like stars. But they have to have a decent surrounding cast. Look at like you said, Jimmy been struggling a little bit. But then you look at the, like, even in the last game, the last stats, Jimmy only had 21 and shot 30-something% from the floor. But then you go and look and you see Bam, who's been having a good series, another 20-point game. You know, I mean, Strus had 14, Vincent 23, Lowry's dropped in his 9, and then Duncan Robinson 10. Like they just getting points from all over the place. You don't always have to have your stars. Don't always got to be the dude to dominate. And Eric Spoelstra also, to me, in game 2 showed you another reason why you have to have good coaching that makes adjustments. Because if you look and see what they did in that second game, they went away from, okay, we're not doubling down on Joker. Joker gonna pick us apart. Let Joker have to work. And now Joker was putting in work on offense, but if you look at in the fourth quarter, he looked a little bit gassed, and on defense, he wasn't moving at all. And they started running that deep. They started running the offense to get the switching and moving, and they started getting guys wide open looks because Joker wasn't able to move. But Joker was putting in work, but they was like, you going to work on offense. We ain't giving you the easy little oop passes and everything else. You going to have to play like a bully, and he did. But I think it kind of took away, and they still only lost by 3. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a chess match this series.
I have touched on a lot of things. Just first talking about Jimmy. Y'all know how I feel about Jimmy. I never wanted him to leave, and he left. And we sucked. The Heat sucked us into actually doing a sign and trade, and we wound up getting the guy that we traded for Seth Curry for. I forget his name, but Jimmy. Right now, he might have played himself into the Hall of Fame this year, because I don't think people was looking into him as a Hall of Famer. But after this year, his playoff success predicated that he already had a team. He led a team to the NBA Finals already in a bubble year. Now you get him again, and he's been an outstanding performer. So I respect him, and I am rooting for the Heat to actually win the series. As far as the series is concerned, you're right, Wayne. As far as needing coaching is important, but also having those role players around them, because that's what, like, Embiid. Like, Harden gave us 2 games, and even though I blame Harden a lot for the losses, but he did give us 2 games. He gave us 2 wins on his own. So we need some other players, some of those other role players that at least come up, and none of them did really. I mean, Maxey had a good game, but we didn't have that Tobias Harris special game, or have like even 12 points from like a Niang. I guarantee you, if Niang had one good game where he gave us 12 or 13, we win that series. We was missing that.
That's. I mean, I agree with that.
I agree.
That's what we were missing. Hopefully, with this new regime, because I'm willing to give Nick Nurse a shot. He's coming in a clean slate. I like some of the things I've heard about him. I like the fact that he does adjust. I am not coming here saying no negativity whatsoever.
I feel the same way.
Clean slate. I'm going to judge him based on what he does with the Philadelphia 76ers. And I'm going to give him a shot.
I agree. I mean, we're going to see what's going to happen. As regards to series, I don't – if I'm a betting man, there he is, the bull on the way home. Why you keep popping in? There he coming back. I don't know. His connection.
I think me and Tim both hit it at the same time. Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
But I don't think Miami is going to win the series. Ethan, he was talking about this yesterday. He was talking this morning rather. That it did take a colossal 3-point effort by Miami to win that game. They shot almost 50%. I think it was like 49% to win the game. Even though the ball, what's the light skinned dude name? I keep forgetting his name. Who's been playing well?
Murray,
not Vincent.
You talking Murray?
No.
You talking about Miami? You talking about Martin?
Yes,
Martin, the boy that be killing the Sixers.
He been balling pretty much all playoffs, and he didn't have a good game yesterday. I think he only scored had like 1 or 2 field goals or something.
He only had 3 points.
Yeah, probably like 1 for 4. I think he hit that 1-3.
Yeah, that was huge too.
And for the most part, he didn't play well yesterday, and they still won because they got a contribute team. They had had other players contributing to the success of the win. But see, the thing is, more than likely, them other players ain't going to shoot that well. But is Martin going to play that bad? That's the thing. So if it balances out, Miami still can win. I know Ethan was like, well, they shot so great and they barely won. They probably won't win again. They won't shoot like that again, so they may not win again. I think that's kind of the point he was making. But if Martin
But Miami has been shooting like that all playoffs, though.
But 50% is incredible.
They've been shooting hot all playoffs, though.
He wasn't shooting 50%.
I don't know about 50% good, but my thing is if Martin plays good, it'll bounce out if they shoot 40%.
He was sick. He was actually sick.
He was?
Yeah, he was sick. They kept reporting that he was he didn't even practice that
Celtics Muse said Miami shot over 50% from 3 against Boston 3 times. That's from a Celtics fan.
That's the case. That's impressive. I gotta check
that. This is my thing though. When y'all keep talking about these role players got to step up. Well, if the role players don't step up, it's beating Harden chance to step up. If you 15 points in the elimination game, you can't blame the role players for that, man. That falls strictly on beating Harden. One had 15, one had 9 in the elimination game. They ain't got nothing to do with the role players. The role players,
but if the role players play, you don't get to that game 7.
Listen, you have to give me your average. Whatever you average in the regular season, you got to give me in the postseason. You have to. So then the role players can fill the void of anything left. That's their job. Just like you see Joker and Jamal Murray giving their average. Actually, Joker's average went up. Give me at least your average, if not better, from my stars. Then the role players do their thing. That's how you win.
Give me your better defense too in the playoffs too. Go all out.
I agree with that. I mean, I agree. I agree that the role players. I mean, I still would never back off of that. I do agree if maybe the role players stepped up, we might not have had to play Game 7. But at the same time, if you have to play Game 7, that's when
the start. Oh yeah, Game 7 definitely on the start on B, Harden and Doc. Yep.
But I think I want Miami to win. I'm actually rooting for Miami. But if Denver don't pull this off and Miami wins this will be one of the greatest final runs you probably will ever see from a team who wasn't expecting nobody from Miami coming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So this will be a historic run. What's up? I want to shout out everybody in the chat section so far. Larry Pound, Story C, MOTC, Celtics Muse. What's up with y'all, man? Appreciate y'all joining the chat. But let me ask y'all this. Let me ask you this. Is this Jimmy's last year with the or does he have one more year left on his contract?
No, he just I think they just re-upped his contract. Yeah, they re-upped it. They did re-up.
Years left.
Yeah.
Jimmy ain't going nowhere. Why would he go anywhere? He got a Hall of Fame caliber coach. You know what I'm saying? A system that is built around him.
That's true.
And
but
a bunch
Jimmy
of dogs
a wild card though. He a wild card. Jimmy is the one of the wild card dude. Like he like a Kyrie. You never really know.
No, that's not true though. When Jimmy got this coach, when you like we seen he had like a little scuff one time with Haslam, but he respects Spoelstra.
Yeah.
Those other coaches, that's what I'm saying. He's finally somewhere where he has a coach that he respects and a coach that earned that respect by being, you know what I'm saying, a championship caliber coach.
He earned respect by about to fight him on his.
No, I think just because when you look at Spoelstra, sometimes for real, we talk about Pop, we talk about these other Coach Kerr and all this other stuff. Spoelstra then he took different types of rosters.
He the best.
And Miami, every time, even when Miami retool, they become relevant real quick. Like you got to get exposure as props
He's
as a
the best
coach, and he's
coach in
still
the
kind of
league,
young.
in my opinion. The reason what makes him
He
so
may be right
special,
now.
what makes him special is because he started out as like I think he did the film. He edited film for Miami.
Yeah.
He started from the bottom, so he probably watched he understands defenses, and I know I've said this before. They look at his defense because that zone that he puts in there, it messes everybody up whenever they play against that zone. And he don't use it right away. He might throw it in like in the second quarter, third quarter, and once he put it in there, it confuses everybody. Whatever zone he works with is different than everybody else's. But I right now I think he's the best coach in the league.
That's what I've been telling you though, Wayne. Even if we trade B, we don't have to go through the process all over again. You can still build a good team.
Not without a Hall of Fame coach, you're not. And for the most part,
if Nick Nurse did good with them other players he had.
You think Nick Nurse is coming here to not have Embiid? Nick, do you think Nick Nurse is coming here if they don't have Embiid? Nick Nurse would have been right over there in Boston. Wasn't it Boston or what? One of them other teams was asking about Nick Nurse.
The Suns and the Bucks that were available.
Yeah, the Suns and the Bucks. Nick Nurse is not coming here without Embiid, even with the threat of Harden leaving. He came here because he saw Joel Embiid.
Nick Nurse. The Sixers organization got to know they got a year and a half, a good 2 at the most left with Joel Embiid.
You say that like every year.
I know you
say that like every year.
He like Matt Kellerman about Tom Brady. I mean, I agree with Wayne. He's not coming unless you got Joel Embiid. I'm still kind of confused why everybody still want to trade Joel. Wayne made this statement a couple podcasts ago, and it was very true. I'm not trying to go back to the Claxtons. I'm not trying to go back to the Evan Turner years, the Andre Iguodala, the Drew Holiday years. We have a bona fide superstar on the only.
He's not a superstar.
We have a regular season star,
a basketball
star,
a basketball.
What's the most important? The regular season.
Listen, I'm getting there.
He's not a superstar.
He's a basketball superstar, and according to the credentials that Wayne and Tim and some people in the comment section have adjusted the term. Now, when I used to talk about superstar, I was kind of talking about, I guess, what everybody refers to as a megastar. He's not on that level like LeBron and Curry,
right?
But Bede is an NBA basketball superstar. I give him that. One of the best players in the league, just won the MVP, so you got to give him that. But the playoffs is where he faltered. If a coach can put him in position, or us in position, and particularly him, because he got to have a breakout playoff year. I talked about this before the playoffs started. He had to, for him to get to that upper echelon, greatest big men of all time stature, he has to have a monster playoff. At least 1 or 2. He got to come out and have a monster playoff. If the coach can get him there, we can win with Joel Embiid. You get a good team around him, even if Harden leaves. I think Maxey, Wayne don't believe in Maxey. I think like that, but I think Maxey can make that next step.
I'm not saying. I just said that's why I say I give him time. He's still young. I just wasn't with the anointing him now and saying he's that now.
You got to anoint him,
but he got time to work. He got time to work on it though. I do think that he has a potential of great upside.
You got to remember, you're anointed before you become king. You don't become king and then get anointed.
So he's still a prince right now. He's not king yet.
And then you become great.
Let me jump in. What the Sixers did this time that they didn't do last, they got player coaches with Brett Brown and Doc Rivers. They finally got somebody that's not going to be scared to say something to Joel and get up. That's what happened. That's kind of what happened with Ben Simmons too. They catered to those players, treating them like stars when they weren't stars. They probably should have had Nick Nurse starting out. Maybe got a players coach later on in their career, but not early on.
I don't think Harden's coachable though. I think Harden got to go. I don't think Harden.
I don't think he's not.
I don't want Harden.
I don't think Harden will listen to Nick Nurse.
I don't think if he signs a 4-year deal, he won't have a choice.
Yes, he will.
Sixers not going to sign him for no max. They're not signing him for that max.
But no, I'm saying no one will trade for him
because nobody's going to sign him for that.
But no one would trade for him. That's the thing. If he signs a 4-year deal, there's nobody that's going to trade for that contract for Harden.
Yes, so that means he really can act the fool because we stuck.
So the thing is, there's not a market for him to get that. Who's going to pay him that money?
Nobody.
Nobody's going to pay him that money. Nobody's paying him Harden that big money.
I think so. If we pay Harden a solid, nice deal, we ain't going to pay him peanuts. If he stay here, we're gonna pay Harden a solid deal. So if we pay Harden a solid deal, what leverage do we have with Harden? If he got his money, he could do whatever he wants.
If I have a better option, give me a better option. But he did average 20 points and 10 assists or 11 assists, whatever it was, during the season.
Okay, but when according to what I heard, and I think we all heard this, they talked about when Doc tried to get him to be more of a motion dude, get past more, don't pound, dribble the air out the ball. Harden wasn't for all that. Harden started pounding. You yourself said you think Harden pouted Game 7 and possibly Game 7.
I do.
I do. So now we think
but this,
Harden is coachable.
This my thing.
So easy after playing the same
No.
way.
No. I agree with you. If we can at least make a lateral movement, like either get better than Harden or get the equivalent of Harden, I'm all for it. But that being said, if he's our best option, I'd rather give it a chance for a coach. And like, put it this way, Nick Nurse is going to have a conversation with Harden. So if Harden's not on board with what Nick Nurse is saying, then Harden going to take if Nick Nurse is telling him this is what it is and Harden ain't with it, Harden going to stop. And that's why Nick Nurse said he's fine either way.
I mean, I want Harden to step. Honestly, I think it's some great questions and comments. Kev Scott, let me hit you real quick. Thank you for the super chat.
Appreciate it.
It's a good point. Great point. Giannis, Joker were considered regular season stars until they got over the hump and took their squads to the finals. Same with Embiid. I agree with that.
I agree too.
Because Giannis had some clunkers. He got eliminated.
And we know I was ripping Giannis. until he got over that hump.
They were the number one.
And wait, and think about it. When did both of them get over the hump? They got over the hump when Giannis, when they ended up bringing in Drew Holiday and Bobby Portis Jr. They started putting a better surrounding cast around. When Joker, they made trades for Aaron Gordon. You finally had Jamal Murray healthy. You got Porter, like you got other players in there, solid players in there. So you still do need. That being said, I do agree that Embiid has to do better than 15 in Game 7. But in Game 6, when he has 26 and the coach doesn't draw up a play to get him the ball within the last 4 minutes of the game, is ridiculous to me. And I put Game 6 on Doc.
As a star, sometimes you gotta demand the ball too. I don't care what
he did. He called for it.
He didn't call for it. He said that's what I gotta do next game because I didn't call for it.
Yeah, you got to be like, yo, give me the ball and everybody get out the way. I mean, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but all I know is what happened from what I saw. I didn't see him on there like, give me that rock, stop playing. Get out the way.
But guess what? The funny thing is, if you did see him, that you would hear some haters in there saying, "See, Embiid selfish. Embiid, see, they could have just let Maxey cook, but Embiid called for the ball, even though they passed the ball to Maxey and he missed. He almost shot an air ball on the 3 that Harden threw to him, and then PJ missed, and then Harden missed twice, and one time got 2 turnovers. So that being said, if Embiid would have came out there demanding, we would have had a certain amount of people, a certain group of people in here talking about that Embiid is selfish and he needed to let somebody else eat.
I mean,
you can't have it both ways, Tim and Ethan.
You always have. Aaron Pumans asked a question. He said, "What y'all think about Tobias for D. Rosen?"
I do it in a heartbeat.
I heard that today. Yo, John Vandy. So you saying you had a dream, you had a vision that the Heat gonna be winning the series for the 2? I take it.
I mean, that'd be impressive. If he.
So if the Heat win 4-2, would it be looked as a choke? Would it be a choke by Joker if he loses this finals?
It depends on how they lose. If Joker put up 40 points like he did yesterday, and they still lose, if you do that consistently.
But if he put that up and don't play no defense, and Miami's picking them apart because he's not able to rotate out the open 3-point shooters or whatever like that. Only reason I'm asking, because let's keep it a bean.
That's not even what happened last game.
It is what happened. It is what happened. He didn't move it all on defense.
It's not what happened.
He lost.
That's not his job. That's not his job to rotate out.
It don't matter. It's the finals. You go above and beyond.
It does matter. Everybody has to play their job.
His
role is not to rotate out to the wing to guard a 3-point player.
So everybody else got to rotate. Joker. So you're against a 3-point shooting team. So on defense, Joker just don't do nothing on defense. Just stand in the paint and wait
not rotating out to the
rebound.
wing. He's not rotating. They actually showed Michael Porter Jr. running away from his man, leaving that dude wide open for threes. Mm-hmm. If you have it's like
where was Joker when all these threes was being shot though? Where was Joker? Was Joker defending any threes?
Why? That's not his job.
I hear you, but
was Bam shooting threes?
They were rotating. They were rotating around. Threes? No, Bam shot a whole bunch of mid ranges right in his face.
Exactly. Celtics mutes. MPG rotations were terrible. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because they got to rotate because the center don't rotate.
You're trying to find a reason to try to get on Joker's game to try to big up Embiid.
No, I feel the same way. Offensively, he's a dynamo. Offensively, he's a dynamo. His defense sucks.
No,
offensively, he's unstoppable. Offensively, he's unstoppable.
Defense is not that bad.
It's not. It is. That bad. I think people Wayne is purposely trying to lower his defense so he could bring him back down to Embiid level. And
no. It's no way.
Let me get it. The bottom line is
don't tell me what I'm doing. He can't get to Embiid level because Embiid ain't show up like Joker did offensively either.
I'm telling you what you're doing. You're trying to bring him down.
You see what he's doing.
You're trying to bring him down to Embiid level, and the bottom line is he's not. It's just listen. I love Embiid. Embiid's my second best player in the league.
Yes, he did, man.
On his level right now, Joker is on
another level. I said that.
Nobody's game is going to be 100%. But my thing is, his game is.
I didn't even bring Embiid's name up. Y'all bringing his name up. I'm talking about Joker's game.
We know why you're doing that.
If y'all would have let me finish what I was saying,
hold on, man. No, he didn't.
Let me ask you something. Did you ever have
Joker last game?
Did we not ever hear LeBron James get blamed when his team doesn't win because he is LeBron James and this is ain't that what they do to the superstars? That's what I'm saying. They do.
Let's clear up a misconception that Wayne agreed to. Bam did not score more points than Joker last game.
He didn't say he said he out point guarded him. What are you talking about?
Point guarding. That's you missing the concept of his comment.
Oh, he said out. I thought he said out pointed him. He had 4 assists.
Reading is fundamental.
They both had 4 assists. So what are you talking about?
Truth be told, Joker only had 4 assists because Bulls wasn't hitting.
They both had 4 assists.
No, he had 4 assists because they wasn't double teaming him. They was letting him go 1-on-1, and Joker
had 41. I don't know what he.
Listen,
what was Joker plus minus? Tell me what his plus minus was.
I got much love.
You're not looking at that.
But
I'll tell you what, their whole starting lineup plus minus was horrible. The bench kept him in it.
Joker's passing and his decision making, his quick score. I was actually saying his hand. Truth be told, Joker handles is better than I thought. They're not as good as Joel's, but his handle is better than I thought. Ethan made a good point. We were talking earlier on the
Joel got a handle?
Huh?
No.
Joel got a handle?
Yeah, Joel got a nice little handle. Joel got handles. For a big man, Joel got handles for a big man. He probably got some of the best handles for a big man outside like Akeem Olajuwon or something. What big man got handles as good as Joel Embiid?
Joel just take the ball and dribble straight at the court.
No, what?
No,
he got his goals. He got crossover. What are you talking about? Like, getting back to Joker.
Thanks, man. That's what I'm talking about. The pick and roll, they was carving Joker up because he couldn't move anywhere. If Joker can't just stand still in the paint and let all them other Miami got a bunch of shooters, so at some point he has to defend something out the paint.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, maybe a play here, a play there, but for the most part, you stretch 4 and all of them got to rotate. They got to be the ones out on all them dudes to hold them down. You can't expect Joker to be everywhere. You can't expect him to go out there and hit and guard the 3 and then come back in and guard the paint. We don't expect that of Joel Embiid. Why we expect that?
Joker don't guard the paint. Bam Adebayo do whatever he wants down here.
He ain't do whatever he wanted. He had a good game yesterday. He ain't played that well. First of all,
he played the same both games. He had 20-something both games.
He was thinking it up the first half. Tim was calling him out, talking up the whole first half.
You saw me saying it. Then all of a sudden he came to see.
He was not playing that well all game. He had a good second.
Well, he was a plus 17 and Joker was a minus 11.
Listen, I like Bam and rooting for Miami to win, but to say that the reason why Denver lost that game wasn't because of Joker. It wasn't because of Joker. It was because all them other dudes supposed to be hitting wasn't splashing. What Michael Porter Jr. do yesterday? Jamal Murray only had like 17, right? Ain't that what he had?
Mm-hmm. That was the this is what Miami did.
All right, hold on. I'll tell you. Michael Porter Jr. shot 25%. He shot 2 for 8, and he only played like 26 minutes. But for you exactly, Aaron Gordon shot 71%.
That's good
from the floor.
Jamal Murray shot shots.
Jamal Murray shot.
No.
No. I agree with you. He only shot 5, but that's what I'm saying. What Spoelstra did, whereas though instead of trying to double team and triple team Joker and let Joker carve you up, is make Joker have to work on offense and do it himself, scoring. And that's what gave them a shot at it. That's what I'm saying. I think that was a brilliant move by him. Now, of course, Denver may offset that with something, but now Denver's not getting all these dudes with the open flashes, backdoor, getting the dunks as easy, getting open 3-point shots now, because now it's like, and it's a twofold thing, because now you're making Joker have to work. Like when he could just divvy it out, he don't have to work. Now, give Joker credit, though. When they were sitting there and they gave him one-on-one, Joker like pounded them dudes down and getting buckets at the buckets. But they making Joker have to work on the offensive end instead of just being able to facilitate.
I mean, Spoelstra made a couple adjustments. First, he started Love. He put Kevin Love in the starting lineup, which he wasn't in the game one. And then Jimmy Butler, the reason why he wasn't scoring as much, they put him directly on Murray. That was who he was sticking the entire game. They said that it was like maybe 3 or 4 series where he wasn't even sticking Murray. The whole time it was Jimmy on Murray. So that's why, if you want to know why he wasn't dominant or why he wasn't scoring all these points, fourth quarter he scored, but for the most part he was like, I'm gonna lock this ball up, and that's why hold
on, exactly, Epsi. That's a good point. They wanted to get Embiid on Tatum out there by the 3-point line. They loved that matchup, and Tatum was going to work on it.
So they was trying. No, they wasn't. They was trying to get Maxey on Tatum. They was trying to get Maxey on Tatum at the 3.
They was getting Embiid on him.
Listen, they were trying to get Maxey.
No, they got Embiid at the end.
No, anytime you could get a guard on the center, it's a mismatch. That's for anybody though. Like,
exactly.
You can't expect the center to be out there. What Anthony Davis can't do it. B can't do it.
B actually played a solid job whenever he was out there on Embiid. Played solid. They was going after Maxey.
No, that game Tatum had 50 points. He cooked B several times. Even on the double.
You talking about the last game when he was the last game he was cooking everybody.
Yes, he's cooking everybody. But that's my point. You can't expect the big man to guard a guard or a stretch forward. You cannot expect that. So I don't expect Joker to do it, or not expect B to do it. West said Joker's defense is really bad here. Lamb Joe, y'all jocking him a little hard. Listen, he's not great he's not Joel Embiid. Let's be clear about this. But y'all acting like he's some turnstile. I just don't see it. I mean, Bam had a good game. Bam been playing pretty consistent the whole playoffs. He played well. But what Joker brings to the table offensively, and he's okay defensively. I don't think he's as bad as y'all saying. That's why they're here now. If he was so much of a turnstile, they wouldn't beat as far this easy. They've been rolling through teams. They swept the Lakers. Let's keep in mind who they swept the Lakers.
Yeah, keep in mind who they
Lakers was the 7th seed. They swept
them. That they playing.
Lakers was the best. Whoa.
They weren't the best of the West.
Didn't Lakers not play some of the best ball? I think it was the best defensive team since the trade. It was one of the best winning percentage since the trade that they made after the All-Star break.
What, Memphis? You talking Memphis?
Lakers.
They was the 7th seed.
Was the best
they had to play. They had to do a play in to get in the playoffs, bro. That's not how
they're playing. The Heat are a playing team.
Hold on.
Really
okay, did the Heat not beat the Celtics?
They have.
Did the Heat not beat Milwaukee?
Listen. Like Maine said, they played an 8 seed, a 4 seed, and a 7 seed.
But
so let's not.
He wasn't a favorite in none of them.
Huh?
Who you talking about?
No, Denver was, but Denver was we're talking about Denver was favored in every series they played. Yeah, they should have been. Listen, Denver is the best team in the playoffs this year.
Denver's the number 1 seed in the West.
Why we trying to act like they're not though? Like why we?
I'm not trying to act like they're not. All I'm saying is before we start hyping, right? They're supposed to beat these people.
They're the number 1 seed, and they beat the 8th seed, the 7th seed, and the 4th seed. They're supposed to beat them. That's like feeding your children. You're supposed to do that.
Okay, my thing is, were they supposed to sweep the Lakers, who beat everybody else? Lakers beat Golden State. Lakers beat Memphis. Lakers. Everybody was saying how they played the best basketball in the NBA since the trade. Am I remembering things incorrectly, or that's what everybody was saying, or that's what the stats said? They was the best defensive team since the trade. They had one of the best records since the trade. That's why they went.
Denver played the worst ball down the stretch, and you see when it was real time in the playoffs, they turned up and was what they was. Sometimes teams make a run at the end, but then you become what you are in the playoffs.
Play teams. I mean,
no, Denver was a better team and outplayed the teams like they should.
Second round. That's inexcusable. This
Kev
is why I
Scott
want to
said he said I'm a big guy. What he said, I'm a big guy rather, but I will admit I like how decisive Joker is in the paint.
Oh, absolutely.
Makes one move and scores in the paint. Abuse the defense with his size. I agree. That's what I love about Joker. He get in the paint. He bang you. If the double team come, he either gonna shoot it real fast or he's gonna make a very decisive pass. I've been saying this for
that's the difference.
Years.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying for I know I've been saying it the whole time.
Because even
not decisive.
Because even Kevin Garnett was like, if you're as a big and you get 7 dribbles in the paint, you better score. And he was talking about Joker, but the whole point is, if you double down on Joker and don't let him dribble down and pound you down in the paint, then he gonna pick you apart. And that makes it, and that's where Bede has to make an improvement on, get even better every year on making those decisions, because that's going to keep the teams from flopping down on you in the paint. That's going to keep them from doing it. That's the only way you're going to keep it from happening.
No, I agree. I mean, LeBron was hurt all playoffs though. Was he hurt since the regular season? I know
you said Brown was hurt all playoffs.
Yeah, he said LeBron was playing injured. AD just disappeared. Everybody complain about AD always disappearing, and Brown been hurt since the regular season. He tweaked it again. I think the Golden State or somewhere.
So was that an impressive win by Denver?
What, against Lakers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because you were just hyping them. You were just hyping them beating the Lakers.
I don't think Brown been hurt and they went through the playoffs.
If they try to,
I'm not saying the injury was that huge of a thing, like he didn't play at all. Everybody nicked up. Denver still did what they supposed to do. I'm not mad at it.
No, they did.
I see somebody saying whose minutes is Hero going to take. Hero going to hurt the team because he is the defensive liability. You put Hero out on that floor, and it's going to be buckets.
Duncan Robinson actually surprised me at his play. I didn't know that he had this type of game where he could shoot and go inside. I'm a little impressed with him so far.
Well, guess what? If you have Hero out there, then you ain't got to worry about Martin only scoring 3 points a game. That's the thing. And this is where Spoelstra, give him his props. Like, he goes with the hot hand. Like, if a dude not hitting, Spoelstra like, okay, come sit here, put Duncan Robinson. Remember that one series? It was like Duncan Robinson had just got the big contract and they ain't even playing. Yeah. I think it might have been against us. And they ended up beating us or whatever. But
that's what I'm talking about. That's how Doc killed us in the Atlanta series.
I agree.
Yeah, that's something that
I want to go back to that. But
Doc too loyal to veteran players, and that was his downfall. And I think me and Eamon was talking about this. The fact that he probably was a veteran coach, he was a veteran player himself. He probably has a little bias toward older players, and he let that be the judgment.
You got to see that. That's what a coach needs to do what's best for the team. Forget everybody's feelings.
I agree.
This is how you got to coach. You can't.
That's what I'm on.
I'm gonna hang with Ben Simmons, even though he's a shell of himself. He's shell shocked and he's missing every free throw he shoot. I'm gonna hang with him. No,
he's stuck with the stars, and
that hurt the team. You put him, or you can't put nobody over the team. The team is first, man. That's what my problem with that.
I can understand.
Hart was playing terrible. Man, he's like, take Harden out the game. You keep him in there,
but you can't take him out. You can't take him out for solo. When you got your star players, you can't just outright bench him. I think Ephraim made that point. But what you can do, if you see certain role players not playing well, then you can try starting a Niang in Game 6 when you see that they're going to do the double big lineup. The same way Spoelstra said, okay, we're going to spread the floor on you. We're going to put Kevin Love out there to spread the floor. Somebody going to have to step out there and guard him because he can shoot. So this is what good coaches do. Your role players should be interchangeable. Yeah, your stars, I should say, they're going to have to play. You can't bench them, but so much. But I do agree they should have pulled that you do need to pull them for a second. Like, all right, listen, settle down. This is what we need to do. But for the most part, it's with your role players where you got to pick and choose. You don't just ride and die with a PJ Tucker. You don't just ride and die with these dudes. You got to make adjustments on the fly. And if somebody's playing well, you keep them playing.
Right. Get that Game 6. I still don't understand what y'all talking about. That Game 6, he was substituting in and out between PJ Tucker and what's the boy name, Niang, and another player. All that last 3 minutes, he kept trying to get something. Nobody was giving him anything. So
the last 3 minutes, what he didn't do was call a timeout and tell his team to go through their superstar.
But y'all keep saying like he stuck with PJ down the stretch, and he didn't.
That's not what I said. I just told you what I've said was my problem with him in Game 6.
Game 6, he was trying to find somebody.
Game 6. No. You're right. In the beginning of Game 6, when they came out saying they started a double big lineup, basically telling you we gonna dare PJ Tucker to shoot, and he refused to shoot. That's how we got down 13 points in the beginning of the game. We was down like 13 points in the first quarter because he had PJ Tucker out there getting wide open shots, scared to shoot. Then he finally came out a little bit in the second half and shot a couple shots. But we got in the hole because PJ Tucker started that. He started with that PJ lineup.
He first of all,
is Game 3 a must win for either team?
I don't think so.
I was about to ask that question because Aaron Puman said he think Miami might have took hold of the series, and now you got Hero coming back. I actually think it is a must win for Denver. I think if Denver loses this game and goes down 2-1 with another game in Miami, I think I'm not gonna say it's a must win, but it's gonna smell a lot of trouble. It's going to be
I think it might be a must win for Denver.
I think the only way is
the problem with Jamal Murray didn't play well in the first half. I think Jamal Murray has to play well. They got to get him.
Jimmy Buckets. You know? That's Jimmy Buckets defense.
Joker going to get his. I think Joker's the only person on that team really you don't got to worry about get going is Joker because he's gonna get his. So you got to get Jamal Murray going, and I think they should be all right.
Celtic music. Ethan, I want to come back to that because that's a good point. But Celtic music, real quick. He said Tatum played terrible Game 6 whole game. He didn't get benched and end up winning the game for the Celtics. Now I don't watch when I watch my team. I don't pay attention to what lineups changes and all that go on as much for the other team. During that game, though, and during that series, Tatum didn't play well against the Sixers at all. That whole series,
to the one game.
For the most part. Did he, as spurts, get set down? I don't really remember, be honest with you. I wasn't asking for, keep in mind, I'm not asking for Harden to get flat out benched. I said I asked for Harden to get bench coached. What I mean is set down and one of the coaches, Doc can't do it because he's in the middle of the game. Sam Cassell, somebody, you say, yo, let him know what he need to do. Let him know what he's doing wrong. Blah, blah, blah. Or give him a breather. It's something that he's doing wrong that's not allowing him to succeed. Remember that one game? I think it was Game 6 when Harden was, and I think it was Doris Burke kept saying, I've never seen him play this passive before. He was driving. Once he started missing, he started driving. He was turning the ball over. He was throwing ill-advised passes. He had shots right at the basket. He wasn't taking them.
Yeah.
I ain't never see Harden play like that.
That was like Game 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was Game 3.
Yeah, it was we was going off like, yo, what is wrong with the ball, Harden? So I mean, it's moments like that where you have to get a player out of his way. Yo, point to the sideline. Somebody coach him up and let him sit down for a minute. Let him see the game. Maybe he's not seeing something. Maybe the game is moving too fast for him tonight. Whatever. At a certain point, you have to or get his heart up. Whatever it is, that's your job as a coach to corral him.
But again, like to me, in Game 6,
in the league, at what point are you going to consider? Who's the problem? It's Harden. That's why I don't want him back. Because no matter, he's another regular season guy. Put all these stats up in the regular season, but come postseason, you got him and Joel the same exact person. That's why I'm really hoping that Nick Nurse can pull something out of both of them if he's signing back with us.
Yes,
you know I'm laughing, Tim, because in one breath you say how Harden because Harden tried in Game 6, it just didn't work out. He threw the 2 passes to 2 different people, they missed the shots, and then when he tried to go in, he got called. There was a missed call on the offensive foul, and then they called the other one where he stepped on, I think, Smart's foot and it turned his ankle, and they just let the ball go and turnover. I'm laughing though because Tim was the main one telling me something. The NBA came out and said they blew all these calls in the fourth quarter. So that being said, if they wouldn't have blown those calls, then it wouldn't have been a big collapse in Game 6.
I just don't want Harden here no more. I don't like his style. I don't like his foul fishing. It don't work well in the playoffs. I just think we need to move on from the Harden experiment.
I agree. I agree. We'll see if we do. That's what I was saying. Harden looked unsure of himself, and when a player looks unsure of himself, the coach got to help him to get back to that level, or just sitting down for a minute and let him get his head right. That's the only point I was making about Doc making that move on the fly. And we've seen that he didn't do that with Ben Simmons, and I'm still mad about that.
And what Doc got to do is what Boston did was go to their superstar down the stretch.
I agree.
Tatum stunk all game, but guess what? Down that stretch, it was feed Tatum, feed Tatum, feed Tatum. We're going to live and die on Tatum. And that's what the Sixers should have did with Embiid.
And he gave Tim a shout out. He said Tim is right. Harden and Embiid are both great regular season players, but they come up small in the playoffs. So far, that is a very true statement. I don't think nobody could argue that until shown otherwise. And this is why I kept saying leading into this playoffs, this needed to be Embiid's big playoff coming out party, and he didn't have it. I'm real disappointed about that. But Denver, I think I felt games being a must-win in series before, just to Ethan's point or to his question. I think if Denver loses, they still can win the series. I've seen series where I said if a team loses this game, it's a wrap, kind of like that game 6 that the Sixers lost. But if Denver loses this game, I still think they can win the series, but I think they put themselves in a very tricky position. But Denver has a lot of firepower. They're a deep team. They play smart. They're a well-coached team. They got a good coach, and I still think they can win. But if they lose game 3, they're in trouble.
And another thing that we never really discussed, or we didn't discuss a lot, that free agent pickup or that trade that we made for DeAnthony Melton, he didn't come out. He didn't show up at all in the playoffs. He had 2 offers. I mean, if you want to talk about, he was one of our key role players bench players coming off the bench. He was one of our key ones. And I'm looking at that game 6, he scored nothing. He was 0 for 5, 0 points.
No, one of them games, I think it was game 1 and game 2. Melton
no, game 1 he balled. Game 1 he balled.
Yeah, game 1. Remember Melton was off.
Hey, Tim, can I ask you something about your boy Doc? After you make that point, I want to ask you something about Doc.
No, go ahead. What are you going to say?
And Puman,
all right. So Embiid in his last year with Brett Brown, of course, it was just a series against Boston. They got swept. Embiid averaged 30 points and shot from the floor 48%. The next year, the first year with Doc, that series, that season, Embiid averaged 28 points in that playoffs, the playoffs in total, and shot like 50-something%, 55%. After that, everything started going down. So could it be? Yeah, and I'm just saying with Doc, could it be stuff that start running dry in the playoffs with Doc? Like I mean, the same way we talk about Melton, like when other teams make it Melton, all of a sudden all our role players that was playing solid during the regular season, now during the postseason, stuff switch up. It seemed like as a collective, the team wasn't playing well.
No, because the whole thing, the dossier on Melton was that's the reason why Memphis got rid of him, because he had a bad playoffs the year before with Memphis. They traded to us. They felt that they could afford to give him up. And guess what? He had a bad playoffs with us.
I can have bad playoffs every year, though.
But no, he hasn't. And then when it comes,
the crazy part though is this year the Sixers wasn't the favorite. So, but if it wasn't for the fact that the history of everything with him and with us not getting past that second round, because for real, Boston was the better team. So
yeah, but
we had them beat.
That's my point. That's my point, Muse. Melton does play. They have Melton playing a wing. He's not a wing. Melton is like 6'3". They be Maxey, Harden, and Melton in the game. They have Melton playing the wing, guarding the wing players. Melton's not a wing. He's playing out of position. Yeah, it's going to be a little tough. We need an athletic wing out there on the floor. My goodness.
Yeah. We had a lot of sick boys. Like, remember, House, he was sick in the playoffs, and all of a sudden he wasn't available to play with us for a couple games. And then I think he hurt his hip when he first got here, McDaniel, so he didn't get a chance to have a long run at all either. It's like we had a lot of fluke injuries this year. It was a lot that piled up on us.
We did, and we going to continue to talk about this probably here and there all summer
about
long.
The off season.
but let me ask. Let's get to what else was in our description box about.
Yeah, let's get that out the way.
Something that happened that was pretty significant last week or early this week, whenever it was last week. It was announced that Skipp and Shannon are no more. I mean, 2 juggernauts in the sports debate category. I think a lot of people said they saw this coming, but they saying after the finals, Shannon is done, Skipp is done. I don't know where it's going to take their career, who Skipp is going to get to be his co-host, and what Shannon is going to do after the fact. I'm sure he got a lot of suitors lined up. But what y'all think about that? What y'all thought?
I think that this just shows Skipp needs somebody like Stephen A. or somebody like Shannon to keep himself relevant, because ain't nobody tuning in just to watch Skipp every day. And I guarantee you, if Shannon goes on and does his own show, he's going to have people tune in and watching. and you can line up anybody across from him. You could do like how Stephen A. for the most part be having like guests to his show and have guests in there and stuff like that. But Skipp is a I don't know. Skipp is just a car. Like he's a character. That's all.
All right, I got two thoughts on this.
Go ahead.
First, I look at it as Skipp represents people in power who like him not apologizing for that Damar Hamlin comment. I mean, he showed no humility, and like everybody in the whole league was like, even if you felt that what you was trying to say wasn't intentional, you could have still been like, yo, if I offended the people that I offended, I want to sincerely apologize to those folks. He wouldn't allow himself to do that. So like then with that whole debate that they was having when he was trying to stick up for Brady, knowing that his partner, like that's your partner, that's your man. Y'all got the number 1 or number 2 show, debate show on cable, and yet you couldn't be like you tried to embarrass Shannon. And that goes to my second point. Everybody was all Joe or hating on Shannon, like how you gonna let him disrespect you like this? And they wanted him to quit immediately. The bull was playing chess. He was like, you know what? If I quit this gig right now, I'm gonna lose everything. Then they can come after me. They can wind up suing me. What he decided to do is like, I hear y'all, and he did disrespect me. He went behind the chambers and he started talking to management, to those producers, to his bosses. Like, listen, buy me out. Whatever's left on my contract, whatever, they worked that out. And so now he's a free agent. He was able to keep his own podcast, Club Shay Shay. And now everybody wants him. ESPN, look, Stephen A. Smith did his podcast. Like, listen, I talked to the bosses at ESPN, and I want them here with me.
I'm trying to get him here on this show.
Yeah. So I know we should.
He'll at least show up every day.
Back to Shannon Sharp. He played chess. He wasn't emotional about it. He played chess the right way. We can learn from him.
I agree with that, Ethan. What you think?
I guess the show ran its course. You know what I mean? After a while, I guess it's time to move on. They do that with everything, like Skipp and Steve, was it Stephen A. when they broke up? It just ran its course. Skipp, you hearing the same thing from Skipp all the time and Shannon, so it was time to go their separate ways. Plus, Shannon was still holding on when Skipp disrespected at time, screaming, "I'm a Hall of Famer," and he was like, "So what? I don't care about."
It was embarrassing.
He felt disrespected. But what you gotta understand about Skipp is there. Anybody worked with Skipp gotta understand is about Skipp or anybody working with. Skipp said, "I told my wife when we got married." He said, "The most important thing to me is my career, not you. You'll always be second." So when you tell your wife that,
he revised that today. He said now his career is 1 and his wife is 1A. She moved up a notch.
He said that today?
Today he actually said that.
Wow.
He probably said that because of the backlash he probably got about it.
So when somebody says that, then the person sitting across from him that's not your wife, that's just a friend, you got to understand your part in it. Skipp's going to say anything to get a rise. Skipp's going to do what he have to do to climb that ladder. So that's the type of person he is, man. And so it's successful for him. Skipp has become very successful as Annex. He's the leader of the LeBron James attacks. So, but he ran his course. I'm happy for Skipp, though, man. Not Skipp. I heard for Shannon. Shannon got on there. Shannon did his thing. Shannon is huge now. Everybody loved the way he debated Skipp, how he handled Skipp, his thoughts. They want to hear what Shannon got to say. So hats off to Shannon, man. He got a lot ahead of him. He got a lot he could do right now.
Yeah,
so, but he do got to thank Skipp for the opportunity. So
absolutely, and I think he does. But you can't be disrespected like that. You can't continually be disrespected by that one person.
No, that's true. Hey, Ethan, I see you've been listening to my man Flemlo today. He actually made a good point in that video. When he said about Shannon and Skipp. Shout out to Flemlo. He got good content. I like listening to him, if y'all know who that is. But that's one of the points he made about Shannon and his career. And when you put your career ahead of everything, then anything is on the table to further your career. You will disrespect anybody. You will care less about people's feelings. It's like if you saying your career is ahead of your wife, like most of us think our family is number one, right? So when you like, man, when it comes to my family, everybody got to get out the way. You know what I mean? My family is that important to me outside of my spirituality, which should be number one. But that's just me. That's neither here nor there. But then you got rankings in your life, what's important, my spirituality, my family, and then so forth and so on, blah, blah, blah. Whatever's number one is going to take precedence over anything. You will go, as the expression goes, balls to the wall to make sure that your number one stays number one, right?
So well, evidently his wife ain't got no problem with it.
No,
she counting them checks.
This is facts, but I mean, I'm saying that I'm not talking about him and his wife dynamic. That's
I know what you're saying.
Worked out, but Shannon shouldn't have been surprised when Skipp disrespected him because it ain't about Shannon. It's about his career. It's about what he brings to the table as regards shock value. He's like the original sports shock jock. He actually, and they said, you know, a lot of people credit him and Stephen A. Smith for kind of starting that whole debate, back and forth debate talk show thing. That was kind of birthed on under their watch. And now once he found out how successful he's become with that by saying outlandish comments and people posting them clips on YouTube and all that kind of stuff and talking about it on social media and Twitter and all this kind of stuff like that. Now he just ran with it. He just ran with it. But that being the case, I also agree with Ethan's point that the show has ran its course. And I think I said this before on the podcast, right? I was watching it with my wife, and I said, the only thing about this show is redundant to me. I said, they show is very redundant. And she said, why you say that? I said, all right, watch this. I said, they're going to talk about Brady, they're going to talk about LeBron, and they're going to talk about Dallas. And I said, I'm not sure which order is going to come in. I said, but that's what they're going to do. So I fast forward through the segment because I was watching it on pre-recorded. So I'm fast forwarding through the segments, and my wife kept looking at it. She was like, how do you know that? And I'm like, because I watch the show almost every day. I tune in at least a little bit, and it's the same thing every time. So at a certain point, it became redundant to me. It's too much going on in the sports world. In my opinion, you can't cover everything, but for crying out loud, you don't have to cover the same 3-4 topics every single day. And it was the same talking points over and over and over again. Skipp was saying the same. He ended up saying the same thing about LeBron. Then Shannon would kind of come back and say the same thing in defense. It was just over and over and over again. And I think it's finally run its course. I actually think it's a good time for them two to separate and for Shannon to do his own thing. And also, one more thing. I know I've been rambling, but I do think Skipp sensed the shift of power. The balance of power and dynamic shifted. And
I agree with that.
He realized it was Shannon carrying the show more than him because somebody made the point. I think it was Ampu Mines. It was somebody. Once Skipp saw Shannon make his own podcast, he tried to do his own thing, and it's terrible. I tuned in for a little bit, and that joint was suspect. It's nowhere near the entertainment value that Shannon brings to the table, and it's a great.
He needs somebody else.
Yeah, it's crazy. People argue the same stuff every day. It's like arguing Ben Simmons every day or Tobias Harris every day. Like you start arguing the same thing every day. I don't know. Why would people do that?
That's what we do. But here's a little twist with the whole situation. It wasn't, and I agree with you, Ephraim. It was Skipp realized the power was being that everybody was more so shifting towards Shannon. But he wasn't willing to release any of that power either. He wasn't, or relinquish some of that power, or share the power with Shannon. And that's what Shannon, they've been breaking up for like the last 6 months. It just finally became effective after the end of the playoffs. But they've been
going through the proceedings. The divorce was in the works for the last 6 months.
Exactly. This has been going on for a while. And Shannon's like, okay, you came to me, I was your young boy, but guess what? Now I'm just as good. I'm better than you now. And Shannon was like, and they said that him and Cowherd, they pretty much own, they the big honchos at FS1. So now that they don't want to share with Shannon. So Shannon was like, because if I'm Shannon, I'm like, okay, get me off this show. I'll stay at FS1. So clearly the fact that he's leaving the entire network is telling me that he don't rock with nobody there. He wants to be, he may go independent, because there's a lot of money, even though you don't.
That's what he should do.
But if you go independent, you get more rewards. Like you can license your stuff. All of that is yours. So I mean, that might be the route to go. Or he might go to ESPN. Who knows? If I'm him, like you said, Wayne, I would stay independent. He got the followers.
Yep.
Club Shay Shay operates on his own. He getting big time interviews on Club Shay Shay.
Yeah.
So there's opportunities there.
Independent is hard to do, but I kind of
as an athlete, I think it's easier with the athletes because you have connects. Like for real, like even if you look at like what's the smoke show or what's it? Not smoke show.
Up in Smoke. That was called All the Smoke.
Yeah. Smoke show is a whole different type of thing, but yeah, but like because they're former players, they got connects, and you get people. See, the players are starting to realize they got power. Like even with Draymond, like you say what you want with Draymond. Like by the time his ball career over with, Draymond has enough connects where you can get insightful people coming in, and the same reason why JJ podcast work. People got respect for the players, and you come on there and have real debates and discussions, whereas though when you had some of these media guys, you know, they want to talk like they're the authority on sports, and players be looking at them like you ain't even play. Like how you going to tell me what goes on in the locker room? Whereas though if it's another player doing it, so I think they have a bigger they can bring, and even to Stephen A's point, Stephen A dealt with all these. Stephen A was sitting up there, buddy, Joeing up AI and KD and all these dudes, like whereas though they felt a friendship with him at some point, and that's what built Stephen A up to where he is.
I think. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay. Here's the thing: it's all about advertising dollars. Now, the advertisers, they would go to the networks and give all that money to the advertising dollars. Now they can advertise on your YouTube channel. If you got 2 million, 3 million subscribers, guess what? I'm gonna spend my money there. That's why I say he can make his money because he already got those millions of subscribers right now.
You still got to pay YouTube. YouTube gonna get theirs.
I mean, they're gonna get theirs, but I'm just still saying advertisers gonna go to him.
I don't know, and I agree with a lot of that, Tim. I don't know the inner workings of this when I say this, but they need to. I think, and it's because somebody mentioned this, Ampu Mines. I was thinking about I Am Athlete. I know I was watching Brandon Marshall join I Am Athlete, and he said he kind of for the first time talked about the beef that him and Crowder and Fred Teller ran into. He said their goal was to do a podcast, start it, and then get picked up by a bigger conglomerate like a FS1 or ESPN or something like that, and kind of go from there. I honestly think with them all, I think I Am Athlete, even Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, I think them dudes need to go to Byron Island and they need to come together and start their own channel. They need to start their own channel.
Tell Bill Cosby to support them.
I don't know the inner workings of how that will come, but I think at a certain point, some of them dudes is big enough names and they've made a big enough dent in the game to where they come together, LeBron James, all them dudes, and say, you know what, let's get our own channel on the network and see what's going to happen.
And the feds be at their house the next day with cases on everybody. You get a case.
I think you gotta have like licensing, because I think ESPN them got license, like you can't show highlights and stuff like that. It's about licensing rights and things like that. So you probably got.
But I don't think they need.
You got to buy that stuff like that.
Do you think they need to license? If they're sitting there talking, that's just like when you go on to JJ.
If you start showing like highlights and plays and stuff like
that.
Oh
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like you can find highlights and plays all over the place anywhere. Like for real, the content when it comes with the podcast, you just want to hear somebody talk. For the most part, you done seen the plays somewhere on something, like all the different apps and stuff. You got videos pop up, tell you the video popping up and showing certain stuff. But that because I agree with the licensing stuff, like not license, but like the advertising. It's a difference. Yeah, YouTube will get their money, but they can get advertising from somebody. Whereas though, say it's a big time, I ain't gonna get nobody no free plug or something. All right, Miss Naturally Classy, you know, my wife's business or whatever. So suppose or Ethan's business, you know what I'm saying, the Latson Construction. If they want to come on and say, all right, well, listen, I want to pay you for you to mention us on your podcast, that's straight going to you. You know what I'm saying? That's not whereas though they're paying ESPN to be on ESPN. They're paying you for you to make mention of their name. Because when I look at a lot of these guys that do like YouTube videos and stuff like that, they have a whole lot of those going on. That's what we need to get working on, Tim. Get some advertisements going on.
What's
Yeah,
the
let me put
pivot?
that cash app up
What's the
there.
pivot?
Oh, the pivot is the podcast that Shannon Crowder and Fred Teller and the Bulls used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers started after they left I Am Athlete. What's his name? I always forget his name.
Who was running I Am Athlete? Why'd they leave that? That's a whole nother discussion. We'll talk about that later.
No, that's I mean that was it. If you watch them, first of all, I Am Athlete, I thought was a great. Them three, it was them four.
It was
Fred Teller, Crowder, Brandon Marshall, and Chad Johnson. And whatchamacallit also who it was Reggie Wayne
Ryan Clark
with him. Reggie Wayne. No, Ryan Clark is with the pivot. Reggie Wayne Reggie Wayne started with him and then he kind of faded off. I forgot about Reggie Wayne. He was on like some of the earlier shows, but those are the main four. And then it was like a money thing that kind of started coming in between them. Like Brandon Marshall said he had a different vision than they kind of had what he wanted to do with the show money wise, and that kind of got kind of iffy. And then they just ended up breaking off. And Fred Teller, Crowder, and Clark, they started to pivot. Now the good thing about Clark was he had the connection to ESPN because he was an ESPN employee for years. So he kind of
He's still there, right?
Yeah, he's still there. That's what I'm saying. He had that connection with them, so it kind of made. Somebody mentioned that he was on Show Low Man. He said that they was on ESPN a couple times. The Pivot podcast. So, but I think them dudes. I'm telling you, I think if they go to Byron Island, this dude know what he's doing, man. He's very savvy businessman. He bought the Weather Channel. He actually puts on his own. Remember we talked about this, especially for melanated people of color. They complain about the Oscars. They complain about the ESPYs not winning. He puts on his own award shows. He puts on his own award shows. He puts on his own shows. He had one a comedy fest, some comedy super fest a couple weeks ago that was pretty good. He puts on his own shows, so he don't wait for nobody to give him nothing and feel, oh man, why didn't y'all do this for me? No, do your own. Find out, just like Fox Sports 1 started their sports network and all that kind of stuff like that. It's ways to do that kind of stuff, and sometimes you got to go about and do the ground on your own. And if them dudes come together and they start talking about their own network, it can happen. They got enough fan base. I'm telling you, people will watch immediately.
So Brandon Marshall got greedy, huh? That what happened?
That I mean, if you ask Crowder and Fred Teller, they'll probably they say yeah. They say that's what happened. But
what do you want? 50%? Anybody else had to split the rest? He
said what he did say was he was putting up a lot of money before they started putting up money. He said he invested over $500,000 into the show, but nobody else was really doing nothing. So when they started talking about cuts and who gonna get what, he was like, yo, I at least got to get my money back before we start evenly dividing everything up, because I'll put most of the money up front to start this.
That makes sense. That sounds logical to me.
Yeah, which I think is fair. So, I mean,
but who owned it? He owned it? It seems like he owned it.
Yeah, he owned it. He started it. He the one who kind of got everybody together and they started doing it.
So basically, they don't want to let him take the bulk of his share, but they'll go to ESPN and let ESPN take the bulk of that share.
I think he wanted to go. They ain't like the direction. They ain't like the direction it was going.
No, but I'm saying if you go to,
I can't lie. Brandon Marshall seemed like he might be hard to work with.
I'm just saying though, if you got an opportunity to, that's just like, all right, and sometimes people do goofy stuff like that. Like the big conglomerate, you be good with working under their umbrella where they're profiting off of your back more than anything else and giving you a cut. Whereas though you might have something, you have a chance to have something of your own, you know what I'm saying? And y'all, and if he put most of the money down, he like, all right, well, I'm gonna take the top cut now in my part, but then y'all still eating off of that too. They rather let the big dogs, they rather ESPN take their money than let Brandon Marshall take their money, basically.
All right, we a lot tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, go hit us up. Let's see what you got.
Before we got here, though, what y'all think about Sam Cassell rolling out on the Sixers? Or do you?
Is he in a better position? Did he make a lateral move?
Yeah,
basically.
See, the is every coach own assistants.
Yeah, it wasn't even offered a job.
Yeah,
Nick Nurse probably bringing his own crew in. Nick Nurse probably bringing his own crew in.
I agree, Pumand. You got to see that next level vision. I'm sorry.
Sometime, who knows? Sam Cassell could have capped out with Maxey. He did a good job, but he could have capped out. Might be somebody else that can reach Maxey in another one.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I'm like Tim. Like Tim said, I'm giving Nick Nurse. It's a clean slate. I'm saying this is the same way I gave Dr. Clean Slate when he came here. I ain't care about what happened to him before. This is what show me what you got. And then that's how I feel about Nick Nurse right now.
Man, I'm impressed.
When we coming back, y'all? When we tell them we coming back?
We back this weekend.
When the next game?
Wednesday.
Yeah.
You want to come on Thursday? Maybe be on Thursday. So you gotta get a schedule. See, that's
I'll be down with a Thursday.
That's what we'll got. Thursday. Let's do Thursday.
Our summertime schedule will be Monday and Thursdays.
Let's do that. Live on the air. You just committed yourself to everybody.
We committed.
You committed yourself.
Can't you put a little post up, Tim, on the YouTube and say we'll be on Monday, Tuesdays at certain time?
We'll be on Mondays. I am gonna put that in there, but you can catch us. You should automatically know and just wait for that notification bell. We'll be on there.
Y'all want to show love? If y'all want to show love, hit the cash app. You know what I mean? You know, if y'all want to support
stop letting YouTube get in our pockets.
Yeah, YouTube takes too much. Hook us up on the cash app. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. We're gonna catch y'all on the next podcast. We'll be back.
Peace. Appreciate y'all.